Welcome back to another video, part 2 in this Excel basics tutorial. This is the Bookkeeping Master. If you've joined this series on this video, then please go back to video 1. You'll find all my Excel videos at freebookkeepingaccounting.com. There are links to these YouTube videos. Just go to free stuff, go down to learn Excel, and then you'll find them all on this page. This series will teach you the very basics of Microsoft Excel. Future tutorials, which will be listed on that page, will teach more advanced features of Excel. In the previous video, I taught you about cells, rows, and columns, expanding cells in the sense of creating rows wider, increasing the height of rows, and also the width of columns, inputting data, and then changing how that data looks, the font, the size, underlining, making bold, changing the color, etc. So we went through quite a few things. Now I'm going to carry on going through some things in this video. Once again, very basic stuff, and we're going to focus still on these cells and changing how these cells look. So in the previous video I went through changing the actual data, how the data looks. We can make bigger and make bold as an example, but in this video, if I just undo that, in this video I'm going to teach you how to change the look of the cells. So I've already taught you about changing the height and the width and how that can change a cell, but in this video we're going to look at some other features of cells and how we can change the look or appearance of these cells. Now the first thing we're going to look at is the color. So all these cells are white by default, and in the previous video I taught you that you can change the color of the text by just using this button up here, this big A with a line underneath. Or to change the actual color of the cell, just use the box next to it. There's a bucket here with a yellow line underneath. Click on the drop down list and you can make a cell red. We can highlight a number of cells by clicking and dragging, and we can make them green. Perhaps you can highlight a row and make that red again, a column or a few columns. If you click and drag at the top here, a few columns, we could do black, and then some rows down here we could make like a let's have a look, purple. So you can change the color of the cells just by doing that. If you want to go back to the standard white, which is no fill, it's not really white color, it's actually no fill. If you click and highlight the whole cell, click on the drop down list, there is a no fill option. You can see we can also make the whole spreadsheet one color as the whole spreadsheet is highlighted. So no fill, and everything will go back to normal. Now another way you can change the appearance of these cells is by putting a border around a cell. So if I highlight a cell and go up to this border option here, so it looks like a window, there's a little drop down arrow next to that window. There are border options, so we could do outside borders, so you can see there's a border around that cell now. You can do thick outside borders, so we have a thicker border around. You can drag and highlight a number of cells, do a border around those. Once again, drag, click and drag. Let's do a border on the right. We can do a border on the left, a border at the top, and a border at the bottom. You can also do no border, so if you want to get rid of borders, just highlight the cells and choose the no border option. Once again, I'll highlight all of these cells, highlight the whole spreadsheet using the box at the top left here, and I will go to no border, and that will wipe all those borders. So let's just drag this up and let's highlight a number of cells. I'm going to do all borders, so every line has a border on. And then at the top here I want to put a heading. Perhaps this is a table that I'm creating and I want to put a heading for this table. Well, how could I do that? I could highlight K here and then put in my heading or title. But I want to make sure that the heading or title actually appears at the center and looks neat. Now the best way to do that is to click and drag along and click the merge and center button here. So this is all under the home tab. So click and drag, merge and center, and you'll see that all those cells have become one long cell now. So if I now put my heading in or my title, it will be centered. I can make that bold and underline. Now I've just noticed that in the previous video I don't think I mentioned how to delete text. I think I just took that as an obvious, but obviously I shouldn't. If you're new to Excel, you just have to use the delete button. So you highlight the cell you want to delete and just click delete. So if I want to delete this heading, I can just click delete. Another way we can change the appearance of these cells is to move them around. So we have our table here with our heading, but perhaps we want our table up here with our heading. We want it more to the left. So all I need to do is highlight the columns I don't want, right click and go to delete. So highlight the columns I don't want, right click, click delete. That will delete those cells and move everything forward. You can also delete rows. If I don't need these rows, I can right click and delete them. Now once I've done some work on this spreadsheet, I probably want to save my work. So right at the top here there is that undo button. There is a save icon next to that undo button. So you can click save and save your work. You'll be taken to a save screen. You can choose the location and name your file and save it. Now I do understand that this video has been all over the place. I'm showing you how to do borders, how to merge cells, how to delete, how to add color to cells. It's all a bit choppy and all over the place. I do understand that, but this is just all the most basic things on Microsoft Excel combined in a single video. It's hard to have the video flow when all the basic stuff is very minute. You know, I don't want to do a single video for each of these things, such as borders, because each video would just be a minute long and it's just not very practical. The last thing I'll show you though in this video before we move on to part 3 is portrait and landscape orientation and print preview. So if you created some work on your spreadsheet, just go to File and then go to Print, and you'll see there's a print preview here of the spreadsheet that you've created. You can click print and then it will print on your printer. You'll see that the page is vertical though, that it is portrait orientation. That's what we call portrait. If you want the page to be horizontal though, then all you need to do is change that here on your printer settings, or you can go back, so using the arrow at the top left, go back, go to page layout at the top here, go to orientation, and you can flip between portrait and landscape. So landscape is horizontal, portrait is vertical. So landscape, file, print, and you can see that the page is now horizontal and the table appears in the center of that page. So this is part 2 of this Excel tutorial. Once again, I do understand it's a bit choppy and all over the place. In part 3, there will be a bit more flow to the video. We'll be focusing on basic formulas that you can use in Excel, and that will be covered in part 3. So I'll see you and I'll speak to you in the next video.